On today's chopping block, we are taking a quick look at the game Gore Crush for the Atari VCS. Now, Gore Crush follows in the same arcade vein as other Merge games like Watermelon Merge or 2048. Personally, myself, I grew up playing games like Bubble Bobble, Tetris, 2048, and this game kind of checks all the boxes for what I'd be looking for something like this. The game's not expensive at all on the storefront, as you can see here, and just taking a quick glance at it, the colors, the saturation, the way that the game presents itself isn't harsh on the eyes in any capacity. Obviously, they're going for a horror aesthetic, and the objective of the game is fairly simple. You start off with smaller elements like an eyeball, a tooth, maybe some brain matter. I can't tell if that's brain matter or flesh, but you combine these items together to get larger organs and body parts similar to a heart, skull, brain, lungs, livers, intestines, and ultimately building up to a full-length skeleton. The highest score that I've been able to acquire so far is 22,305, but I can definitely see myself wasting a lot of time with this game just trying to kind of like see how big I can get things going. It's one of those things where, like, if you're looking for a game that's super simple and easy to pick up, Gore Crush is definitely the one you want to go with, but also at the same time, it's not so difficult or competitive that that anyone can't jump into it. I definitely think that this game, for the value that it's being offered at, is well worth the pickup. One of the other games that I want to try to expand upon here is PuzzleDORF. Now, PuzzleDORF is a puzzle game that released on the Atari VCS a little while ago. It's not fairly new, but it's been around long enough to warrant a decent review here. And it expands upon the concept of Sakaban, which is a Japanese puzzle game where the player moves boxes around to certain exit points or icons on the board. Those, of course, being represented by the X's here. And one of the interesting things about PuzzleDORF is that it sets up a somewhat relaxing theme with this music choice, the environmental graphics, and so on. There's multiple different types of levels and styles of which you can play the game, but overall, it is designed to test your brain, starting off fairly simple and then moving into more extravagant puzzles along the way. Definitely a decent pickup for anyone who's looking for a simple puzzle game to pass the time and feel relaxed while doing it. Turnament is an interesting game that definitely deserves a revisit to VCS owners. It's one of those games that uses minimalistic graphics, but also has a story narrative to kind of help you throughout the game, as Commander Neek basically walks you through the tutorial and things that are happening inside this game's universe. Now, in Tournament, your goal is to basically direct these pods from one point to another to collect things like gems or other items like crystals and rocks and minerals. Really, the main story here is that you are basically trying to mine the universe for precious metals and materials. There are other enemy types that are around that are trying to stop you from reaching those items, so you have to strategize how you're going to get across this board and get the assets that you're required to do. Now, of course, you have energy levels and limited moves to reach this objective, so it really forces the player to really think about what their objective is going, or how they're going to achieve their objective, and what their next course of action is going to be. Definitely worth the pickup. It's a reasonable price, set here at $5.99. Now, there are obviously some people who have an Atari VCS who are looking for things that are maybe more of a graphical prowess, but this game, what it lacks in graphics, makes up for the brain teasers that it supplies. It really forces the player to think outside the box to get to the general objective. So if you are looking for something that is definitely going to challenge your mind in the way that you see the game that you're playing, this is definitely the game to pick up. Lastly, we have Mad Age and this guy, and there is just not enough positive things that I can say about this particular game. It was one of the early launch titles for the Atari VCS, and it's a game that I played through from beginning all the way to end. I couldn't put it down. I was in love with the graphics and the steampunk aesthetic. You know, there's three different areas and mazes that you can kind of go through here. You have both the caves, the Arctic, and the castle level, each of which have varying difficulties. And although you can possibly beat the game within a matter of a couple hours, I beat it within a full day. It's one of those games that's relaxing enough and engaging enough and quirky enough to keep you interested. The puzzles aren't difficult, but the gaming mechanics and trying to find out how to avoid the enemy types is what makes the game the most interesting. Overall, Mad Age and this guy in 2025 definitely needs to be revisited. I definitely think that anyone who owns an Atari VCS needs to pick this game up. I feel like it's one of those games that fell very, very below the radar for a lot of people as other products were being pushed out. Because of that, I cannot recommend this game enough. Anyways, these were my top 4 puzzle games for the Atari VCS. I'm going to be doing more videos here in the coming weeks because I really want to try to cover a wide spectrum of games, get back into the YouTube content. So if you liked the games that I suggested, or if you've played them or had any opinions, I really want to hear what you have to think in the comments below. Anyways, I've been Kazdan Azan with Kraz Productions, and thank you for watching.